In August 1947, the British Raj finally collapsed, but as the new Indian government took control, they inherited a subcontinent in crisis. They had to immediately establish order for hundreds of millions of people stepping into independence. A hastily drawn border, the Radcliffe Line, had just carved the landmass in two. The resulting partition displaced over 12 million people and ignited communal riots that tore through the newly formed nations. In 1947, beyond Furthishwold territories, the subcontinent was splintered into 552 independent princely states. If these states refused to join, the map would remain permanently shattered. Rulers in Junagadh, Kashmir, and Hyderabad were already pushing back, threatening to balkanize the region. To solve this, a group of 299 men and 15 women gathered in New Delhi. This was the Constituent Assembly. This assembly had to draft a survival manual. They needed a set of rules strong enough to keep a bleeding, fractured territory from tearing itself apart. The assembly debated for 2 years, 11 months, and 18 days. They spent roughly 64 lakh rupees, a massive investment of intellectual and financial capital for a nascent country. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar led the drafting committee through this process. His team had to filter thousands of competing arguments and proposed amendments down into a single, cohesive document. Rather than guessing what might work, they treated the process like an engineering problem. They analyzed the constitutions of 60 different nations to see how other democracies handled similar pressures. The drafting committee pulled proven mechanics from across the globe. From the UK, the parliamentary system. From the US, enforceable fundamental rights. They looked to Ireland for directive principles. And from Canada, a strong federal structure to keep the territory intact. They dismantled these foreign laws, discarded the weak points, and calibrated the best parts to treat India's specific vulnerabilities. So how exactly do you legally force a diverse, fragmented territory to stay together? In this diagram, the outer boundary represents Article 1 of the Constitution. It declares India an indestructible union of destructible states. Parliament can alter state names and internal borders to ease regional tensions, but no state has the legal right to secede. Then came the next issue. Amidst the massive demographic shifts and refugee crises of partition, how do you define who actually belongs to this country? Articles 5 through 11 established single citizenship. Whether someone lived in Madras or Bihar, they were recognized solely as an Indian citizen. This forged a unified national identity over intense regional divisions. Finally, how do you protect marginalized communities in a society that had been stratified by caste and religion for centuries? The Assembly engineered Part 3 of the Constitution, Fundamental Rights. They designed these articles specifically as a legal shield so that the lowest rungs of society could demand equality in a court of law. These specific articles acted as the legal adhesive. They bound a fractured landmass into a functional democratic republic. The resulting document is the longest written constitution in the world. The original copies were not created on a typewriter. They were entirely handwritten. Master calligrapher Prem Bahari Narayan Raizada spent 6 months carefully scripting every word. When the government asked for his fee, he refused payment. His only condition was that he could write his name and his grandfather's name in the margins of the pages. To illuminate those pages, artist Nandalal Bose and his team painted intricate borders and scenes. Their artwork visually traces India's civilizational history, from the ancient Indus Valley to the modern freedom struggle. The Assembly officially adopted this massive volume on November 26, 1949, a date recognized today as Constitution Day. They intentionally delayed its full enforcement for 2 months. They chose January 26, 1950, to honor the 1930 Purna Swaraj Declaration, a historic demand for total independence. We now celebrate this date as Republic Day. The philosophical core of the text sits on its very first page, the Preamble. By opening with the words, "We the people," it establishes that all governmental authority is derived directly from the citizens. Today, that original manuscript sits in the Parliament Library. It rests inside a hermetically sealed, helium-filled glass case, meticulously monitored to prevent the oxygen and moisture in the air from degrading the paper. The helium keeps the physical ink from fading. But the actual survival of the Constitution relies entirely on 1.4 billion citizens, actively upholding its values of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity.